All right, so be in Tadasana. Take the weight right back into the heels, lift the toes up. So see that there's a soft inhalation and exhalation. And interlock your fingers behind your back and reach in very, very strongly with those arms. Now from here you may need to have a belt. You're going to take one arm into Gumokasana, other arm to join. So if you need to have a belt, then grab yourself a belt and come into Gumokasana. And the same thing here applies. You're going to take those inner arms away from one another. Okay, and release it. Well done. All right, so we come to the other side. So we're just warming up at the moment, just getting a bit of fluidness in the body, seeing that you take the hand into this action and then again extending up and catch it. Now, if you need to have that belt, then have the belt if you need it. And just wait for the body to accept the action. Be in your Gumokasana. So it may take you a little bit of time to move those inner arms away from one another. It may take you a little time to get that lift back through the body, but keep at it. Keep looking directly forward. Keep at this action. Keep those arms working. Okay, and release it. All right, so we're going to come for a forward facing action now. So I want you to have a look. Now, if you've got a couple of bricks, this would be quite useful in this practice. So we're going to take the front leg forward. So I'm just going to show you my left side because it's facing the camera. So this is really a good thing. Now I'm going to bend the leg, take the hands down so I'm not in a total lunge position. So what I want you to do is to see that the head of the shin is moving deeply in and the outer shin cuts back. So you have to spread your toes. Let me just put my bricks a little bit further forward. You have to see that those areas are really active. And then once you get that action, it's like a little bite maybe for some of you, then you can start thinking about lifting the leg. But you don't want to just lift and straighten the knee. You want to see that you keep cutting back with that outer shin. The outer shin is there to really get that connection with the outer hip. You can see that's quite a job for me on this side. So you're going to come into this action. You're probably already working in this action, but I'm going to just stop you there because I know all these little tricks. All right, so sometimes we get out of doing because we're so interested in straightening the leg. So go back to a bent leg position. And what I want you to do is to really ground into the ball of the foot and see that you get that breadth and broadness across the meridian line of the foot. So you've got to see that it divides in two. Now you've got to see that the head of the shin and the outer shin are cutting deeply in and back. So this cutting in action, you've got to use your feet very strongly. You've got to cut in. You've got to cut in, and only then are you to straighten your leg. And you may have to do this slowly because you have to imagine that you don't have a knee. The knee is being supported by that cutting back. As soon as that shin has its own way, you will drop the whole of the knee into the inner knee, and you don't want to be doing that. So hopefully most of you will have your legs straighter or on the way. You need to have a slightly higher support for your hands, then this will help you to give you a little bit more space. So I'm going to show you again. So I'm going to show you on my other side now so that you can see. here I've got to see that this outer shin is cutting back, it's cutting back, and then I've got to see, with that cutting back action, am I able to get this straightening of the leg? It's quite strong action. Of course, you can get this action if you drop the leg and you cheat a bit. You do a little bit of a swivel in. It's a swivel in. I'll try and get that camera to show you this action. And you don't want to get that swiveling in because, yeah, of course, you can get the hip, but you've got to cut that shin. I mean, this is old school stuff. So you want to see that this cuts back. You want to see that this is all cutting back. And then you've got to see if you can open your hamstring at the same time. So it's quite a challenging action. And be in your Parsvottanasana. Be in your Parsvottanasana. So this forward facing action again. Okay, and release it. Well done. All right, so repeating again now. So go to your other side and have another go at that. I want you to take your right leg forward first and just have a look and see. Take that shin so that it is perpendicular. Cut back with that outer foot. So you've got to cut back with that outer foot. Outer shin has got to cut back right at the root. Right at the root. And then see, are you able to straighten the leg? So this is strong, strong work. Strong work. So what we tend to do is this, again, I'll show you this rocking and rolling in. Can you see? So you've got to see there is a really strong cutting in of the knee here. Okay, and releasing. Come on, one more time. Let's do the other side. So taking your left leg forward this time, you want to get this cutting in action. You want to get that shin work, working really, really strongly, really well. All right, and well done. So you can stay in it while I'm explaining what we're going to do next. All right, so when you come into this next action, coming for Uttanasana, again, same thing. Soften the knees and cut those outer shins back, and then see, are you able to straighten the legs? And you may not find that it's as easy. So you've got to see that you come forward with this cutting back very strongly, opening the back of the thighs and come into your Uttanasana. And then see, can you turn the bricks? Then see, can you take your hands onto the floor? So see that you get all of those actions. All right. And just be there for a few moments. So cut back with those outer shins very, very strongly. We're going to stand on the mat, jump or step the legs, turn the back foot in. Now when you stretch the back foot in, you want to cut back that outer shin region. Whole of the front leg and foot actually facing forward, extending. Now see that you get into some connection here in your lower back, lifting up through the center of the body, hinging forward, pull up the kneecap and thigh. All right, you're going to get a turn in action now, taking the hand to the floor and extending, and then coming up. So you've got to get that connection in the back leg. Of course, you can use a chair or you can also use a brick. So have another look. So we're just going to have this connection with this back shin. You've got to see that this cuts back really strongly, whole of the front leg and foot cutting back. Then we're going to see, can you still cut back? As it cuts back, you've got to see that you turn. So this has got to cut back. Outer shin cutting back. And then we get that turning action. You put your hand onto a brick if you need to. See if you can get that cutting back of the shin. So see if you can get that cutting back of the shin. Back leg, front leg. And then releasing, All right, so bring the legs together. So it's quite a challenging action. Just take another look at the screen and have a look at the next stage. So when we come for the next stage, we're going to see that we are turning, bending the leg, and then seeing, can we cut back with that outer shin again? So you've got to see that the outer shin cuts back really nicely, and then cut back that outer shin of the back leg, both shins cutting back, and then see, can you get your arm across the thigh like this? Cut those shins even more. And then see, can you take your hand down to the brick or to the floor? Can you cut those shins back? And then the arm goes over eventually. It's quite a strong action. All right, now there's several ways you can practice this. So I know some of you have trouble with balance. There's lots of things going on. So you can still get the essence of the action. Have a chair handy. This is really a quite nice way of working. So when you come into this action, you bend your leg in this way, you can actually hold on to the chair. So this works really nicely. Get this turning. Get this turning. And then releasing, or you can put your hand down onto a brick. So whichever way you're working, just see that actually you're getting that action. You've got to cut back with those outer shins really strongly. Okay, so you've had a go with the first side and now the second side. So taking the chair to the other side and bending the leg. And again, we'll see that when you come into this action, it's not an easy one. So if you're using the chair, it's a really good way to work. You can just rest the forearm, get this turning action, cut back with that outer shin. The back heel may lift, but you've got to know the main direction. Get that turn, get that turn. Yeah, you've got to open some of these areas. So have a go either classically, or have a go with the brick, or have a go with the chair. So these actions are really, really useful. You know, it's really good to actually give yourself a bit of space and add more support. There's no problem with that. Okay, and release them. All right, so what I want you to do now is to have yourself a belt. So if you haven't got a belt, dressing gown tie will do. And come into this action. So you're coming into supine action. Now again, I want to show you, I'll show you with this leg because it's closer to the camera. Just want to show you this action. So when you're in this position, I want you to see that the leg is bent, but you've got to try to flex the leg as much as possible, the foot I mean, and cut back with that outer shin. And as you cut back, I want you to see that the leg slightly turns. Like that, so the knee is starting to turn, the leg is starting to turn. So you get this turning action. You don't want to bring the leg too close to you, but you want to see how much movement, how much outward rotation do you have, and then extend the leg. So this really does make a difference to when you come into your Supta Padangusthasana too, because you want to come into it with this leg in this position. So you're in this position of coming to the side, taking the opposite arm out to the side, making sure that you're grounded down very strongly into that lower leg. And then releasing. So when you come into this action, you want to see that you get this connection. Again, I'll show you again on this side. I'm softening the knee slightly and getting this turning action. See how much rotation you have in the leg. You may not have very much, doesn't matter. You want to see that you get that rotation, and then take the leg out to the side. Keep this grounded leg really grounded towards the floor. How much rotation do you have? Just have a check, have a look at it. You can rest your elbow to the floor. So I'm going to talk you through a few instructions with this now. I know you've been having a fiddle and doing it. So have a go at getting that left leg lifted now, and sorry, right leg. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, so let's start with the right leg. So lifted the right leg up and taking the belt around and just getting that turn in action. Once you've got your maximum turn, then take the leg out to the side. But what's really important here is that you ground down with that opposite leg. So you got to see that your left leg is grounded down and you are not getting that rolling action. You are supporting the whole thing. Get that rotation in that thigh so much. See how much you can get that rotation. How much can you get that rotation? Turn, 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 turn. Okay, and just be there for a few moments. Be there for a few moments. Soft inhalation, exhalation. Don't let that leg drag you down. Okay, bring the leg back up. Let's do the other side now. Now just give your leg that slight turn and take the leg out to the side. Take the leg out to the side, that's it. Pause when it's getting too heavy. Pause when it's leading the way. Pause when you're just dropping it. Just let it be there. And then just stay there for a little bit longer. Keep that grounded leg down, straight, strong. Keep it down, keep it grounded. Soft inhalation, exhalation. And now bring the leg back to center and release the leg down. All right, I want you just to have a look at this action. So this is Badakanasana. So Badakanasana is one of those poses that you think of yoga immediately because this is really connecting. So just sit up and just have a look at the screen for a moment. Now it's no different, this action. You've got to try to get that rotation, but also the rotation of the shin. So I'm going to make some suggestions here for those of you who find this action really challenging. So bringing the knees a little bit closer can be difficult for those of you with the arthritic knees and hips, but having the legs a little bit wider is really quite useful. It's a really good practice. But just have a look at some of these other ways to practice Badakanasana. So if you are challenged by stiff hips, stiff groins, or lack of mobility in the knee, don't worry about it. Okay, so you will be in this position. So you can see here. So when you're in this position, you can see that there's a wide stance. Now you want to sit firmly onto the support and just see how much you can hinge forward. So this may be enough for you, and this will be a really good practice, no problem. Those of you who can move your legs a little bit closer, then this doesn't really work as well as the wider leg. If you can come away from the support and you're one of those people who have got that really good agility in this area, you can put your hands onto these foam pads. This, I feel or find, is really, really useful. You can use your hands to get that lift. You get that lift up. You get that lift up. So you can sit in your pelvis. So much lift is required to get the change here. Now, of course, it is a forward action eventually, so you don't want to kid yourself that you bend forward from your spine. You want to see that you hinge forward really nicely in this way. So all the way, eventually. So you've got to see that those groins are working. You can see that the action is coming. So be patient, practice it. Practice it in the supine action, upright action, or forward action. Have a go at this practice this week.